Okay, hello.
Hi,
How
hi.
Hi. Welcome all back to a new talk of raw and real leadership. And this time with Herdis Pala Palsdottir. Welcome.
Thank
Hello,
you.
Welcome.
hello, Herdis Pala.
I'm,
Hi, thanks for offering me to join you on this talk.
Thank you for coming. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Yasser, and I'm with the co-founder of the Breathwork Club, Katerina.
So, hello, everyone. We are super grateful that we are back here with you, Herdis Paula, that I have read about you and what you have co-created and written. And I'm super curious to hear about your experience. In the Breathwork Club, we facilitate teams and CEOs and people that actually choose themselves, that choose to work or to be or to live from their heart and to face their fears and move rather from love and curiosity and openness. And today we will talk about human beings, us, and how we can work and find the balance with our inner truth, and also about future, about is going to AI change our work? Is it a threat? Is it an opportunity? Is it something amazing? Or how can we prepare ourselves? And I'm happy to be here again with Yasser. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm also one of the co-founders of the Breathwork Club, and at the Breathwork Club we really believe in embodiment. It's a practice that is completely in our body that can go out in a beautiful way to lead people to be present, and so that's what we actually teach or advocate at the Breathwork Club. Um, so I'm really happy to have you, Herdis Pala, with us. How do you feel with embodiment? What is embodied leadership for you?
Wow, that's a big question. I don't know how to phrase it, but I mean, we have to be kind of who we are. And if I just throw in some examples, I think when I first kind of started thinking about it was probably around shortly after year 2000. I don't know if everyone was born at that time,
Mhm.
but we kept talking about the importance of work-life balance. So like it was two separate things. And I think because most of us use more than half of our waking hours in every day at work or something that is related to work, all the way from the time that we hopefully jump out of bed singing in the morning because we are so excited to go to work, and until the last thought of work is in the evening. So I mean, work takes up a lot of our waking hours. And if we're always trying to think of this as two separate things and as trying to find balance, that is nowhere to be found. I like to think of this because you're talking about embodied leadership and embodied, just being embodied. If you can say, we have to talk about work-life integration
Mhm.
and allow ourselves to be humans at work with everything that comes with it. Um, and just reimagine, redesign how we think about work and how we work. And embodied leadership is cause of, I mean, we can say heart, mind, and spirit, or whatever, what
Mhm.
words you want to use. It has to be in some kind of sync. So we cannot just go to work and only use our brain and then come home and there we are supposed to use our heart and somewhere in between our hands. So I mean, it has to be in sync, and that's the only way to be in a flow. That's the only way to kind of be your best, if you want to say, and be there for yourself and be there for others, whether you're in a management position or not.
Mhm.
So yeah, embodied leadership may be a long answer to, but this was a big question that you threw at me. So yeah.
Yeah, and this question will come in partially parts will come. I'm also curious, who are you? You know, Herdis Paula, you're very experienced HR director, public speaker, author. You've done a lot. Can you just give us a little glimpse of you?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm from Iceland, Icelandic, even though I live in Belgium as of now. But I was born and raised in Iceland. I have 12 brothers and sisters, grew up in a big household. I have, with my husband altogether, we have 3 sons and 4 granddaughters. I've just always been interested in people. My first profession was I was a teacher. Then I decided to change and I went for my MBA with concentration in human resource management, which I would have liked to be called human beings management when I look back, because I'm not thinking of humans as resources, but as human beings. So yeah, I'm just interested in people, in human behavior, in how we can find ways to both increase quality of life at the same time as we are trying to increase profits or GDP of countries, how it could go hand in hand together. So that's kind of what I'm always striving for, finding those. And in my roles as in human resources, which is not a phrase that I'm a fan of, but that's what it's the term that we go with. How we can have more open conversation of how we will do better both in work and life if we rethink and reimagine how we live and work.
Herdis Pala, I have a question on, was there any major shift or something that brought you deeper on this path of, as you said, human resources, human beings? I also loved how you said, the alignment of my spirit, soul, purpose, of course, the body, my heart, and all the chakras or whatever alignment, but higher than just thinking of our mind. Was there any particular moment, a turning point in your life, or was it a smooth way, evolution? Easy peasy, it came to
No.
me.
My path is has had its bumps, but I think kind of what comes to mind when you ask this question is that of course, because I talked about, I mentioned that I went for my master's degree and all that. So I was always reading about something and learning about something that had to do with work. And then outside of work, I was always looking and reading at something that could either make me feel better or be better as a person. I worked at 12 steps for friends and families of alcoholics. I've, been doing a lot of things kind of to improve myself and work on myself, heal some wounds as a person. But then there was always this other thing, the other world, which was the world of work. And I can say at least one of the things that I kind of think of as a shift for me was when I stumbled upon the concept of self-leadership. Because for me, that was the a piece of the puzzle that kind of could connect the worlds, because I always felt I was in between 2 worlds. And when I started reading about and learning about and then also practicing strong self-leadership, I felt I got the courage, if you can say, to be more human at work and challenge more of the things of people were talking about in the world of work. And I could also use the courage that I got from practicing self-leadership to speak more openly about what I thought of life and what I wanted out of life and boundaries that I wanted to set and new paths that I wanted to take. So for me, this was the kind of the puzzle that combined those 2 worlds. So I think I even have a memory of being on an airplane, reading actually a book on self-leadership. This was probably in 2013 or 14. I was reading a book on self-leadership and I had a constant aha moment after another aha moment. So I think there was a shift for me then of how I didn't need to divide myself between those 2 worlds, kind of. And that gave me also, because it's somehow easier to say at work, I'm a big believer in self-leadership, rather than come to work and say, I'm a big believer in that we should be more human. So just even the phrase self-leadership, more people are willing to listen. And that helped me become more embodied in how I live and work.
And you, yes, sir, because you built up a company, a marketing agency of 30 people. Were you always embodied manager? Or was there any turning point to
No.
understand that actually it comes to self journey, self-development, self-management?
Yeah, so it took time. It took time for me
Yeah.
too. It takes time because I feel in the beginning I was just running a company like it should be because I heard it should be like that. And so we did quite some fun things, and we were growing and growing and growing. And I think the last 3 years of that company, of that marketing agency, we were growing harder. So it's the development of people were also different. So I almost needed to go into my own inner work because I felt it was a trick what I did. If I look back, as a leader, or more as a manager than as a
Yeah.
leader, and then it started actually to feel awkward.
Yeah.
There was a lot of empathy. I felt a lot of empathy to people. People were discussing all kind of problems or challenges they had at work, but also at home. So the whole role became different at that moment.
Yeah.
So that's one of the key points to get into more inner work. But the thing that really changed is actually it's a personal thing. It was a relationship at that moment that didn't work out. So it was a big shift for me to go into breathwork. I do breathwork. We do a lot of breathwork in different kind of ways. To support actually to these wounds where you are talking about, Herdis,
Yeah.
to get these wounds out and to face them. And
Yeah.
from that, I see major changes in my life. And what's actually the most changed is the presence. I can be really present here, whatever is there, and not living in the future, not living in the past, but just being here with any emotions that come up. Yeah. And how's this path for you? One was what was for you the turning point? Almost it almost feels like a juicy point of no return. It's like, okay, when I get into that, it's done.
Mine was also a challenge. So in 2014, I gave birth to my second daughter, and with all this joy, and I started to have pain in my body. It was very new because before I could just fix things. So I could operate on my masculine energy. I do this, I do it, and then it works. So I was moving on a linear way. Even though I was studying and lecturing on circle economy, I realized my life was a lot okay. It felt very perfect. I didn't understand where or why would I have pain when I'm all healthy and everything is perfect and great in my life. And so since 2014, I started to search a bit more inside of me. And it was a long journey. And from the head and understanding and reading, I went more into embodiment. And this is what I stand for at this moment, is to really follow what my body says. And that's quite new. And it allowed me for the first time to let go many things in my life, to perceive life and time differently, to feel gratitude a bit differently than just to say, okay, 3 times that I'm grateful for before dinner, but really go like deeper on that one. So what comes to me is the presence. It can come also maybe with aging a little bit. I see the difference the last 20 years, how I was managing projects 20 years ago, what I thought, and I was more here than where I am today. So I totally resonate when you say that the journey comes within us. We become better leaders, better managers. Could you say what do you see as a challenge, nowadays? Because why not everyone is on this path, or why is it taking time, or why is there some resistance to embodied, more present, more centered leadership, understanding me, as you were saying, okay, I am coming to work, me, okay, Herdis Pala, Katerina, Yasser. It's not just a role. Of course, I also play a role, but it's not just a dress code that I put on.
Yeah, I think the way I see it, I mean, we are on this wave, if you can say, and when you're going from one point to another, there is not everything is in sync, maybe. So many of those that are in more kind of, we can say, power of decisions, or can make bigger decisions and decide how things should be according to what they think. Often they make decisions based on what they have been either recognized or rewarded for before. So it's so natural for them to want to hold on to that, because that has worked for them before. So then we have people that are starting to kind of smell or feel that there's something in the air, that there's different expectations now. People want different things. So we are not all in sync now, but I think we're going in the direction of being more in the presence, as you say, and just be more human. And because I mentioned before, when I read this thing about self-leadership, how many things changed for me, that has helped me be more in the presence, as you mentioned, Yasser. Not think about the past and not worry too much about the future. I also got that from working the 12 steps that I mentioned before. But I also learned, because just to be open and honest, because I spent so many years feeling like I was some kind of victim, that everyone else was making decisions. I had not enough saying in things, and things were not going as I thought they should go, or the way I wanted. But one thing that I have started, so I've started to become more human at work, be more myself, but I've also started to use some tools from the world of work, if we can say, in my personal life. And if I just mentioned kind of two examples, is that many people that are employed or work in a workplace, they know that the workplace or the organization has defined some kind of values for the organization. Service, security, I don't know, growth, whatever it may be. But not many have defined what are their own values. So that's something that I've been doing for years now. I mean, my values don't change that frequently, but I visit my values kind of consciously once a year. And I make sure that I do my best every year, or just every day, to both use my time and make all decisions, both in the role that I'm in at work, but also as a person. Are they in alignment with my values? Because I have found it so kind of both has helped me with my courage, but also in a way liberating, and gives me freedom to I don't have to think too much about how I make decisions. I just compare them to my values and make decisions based on that. And another kind of tool that I have used from the world of work in my personal life. Yeah.
I'm really curious. Can you give an example of what kind of value that is?
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, for me, yeah. I struggle with having only three. I end up usually with five, but kind of the three strongest values for me personally is integrity, freedom, and growth. And when I'm making decisions, whether at work or in my personal life, I kind of compare it to those three values.
Do they need to be aligned all? How does it work?
Yeah, I try to. And for example, if I'm offered a job, or I'm thinking about applying for a job, I think about, I mean, will it help me grow as a professional or as a person? Will I have the freedom that I want in my life in this position? Or, I mean, will I be able to be authentic or honest? I mean, will I be able to show integrity in that role? Also, whom I spend my time with outside of work. Am I able to be myself, be free in who I am, and am I able to grow from the interaction that I have with those people? if not, I should maybe not spend so much time with them. And may even sometimes be family members, sorry to say. But yeah, I have found, at least for me, I have been able to both be more kind of calm in the present moment and improve my quality of life by using my personal values, as we are told to do when we are working for someone else. We are supposed to make decisions at work, but depending on the values of the organization, but we can do it the same for us in our private lives.
Yeah.
And the other thing, just shortly, the other thing is, because we are also taught when we are working for someone else that there's some strategy to follow, but we don't always have strategy for our private life. So, I mean, of course, we have to live each day and be in the present moment, but to have some kind of vision of where we want to go with our life, because otherwise we're just always serving others and doing what we think looks good or what is expected of us. But we need to know, so we are able to make choices for ourselves, to have some kind of idea of where we want to go.
Herdis Pala, is it difficult for you to say no? You know, you were touching up a little bit. I relate a lot to I call it people's pleaser. So I am entitling myself sometimes like, oh, I'm a recovering people's pleaser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have 12 brothers. I have 12 brothers and sisters, and I'm like somewhere in the middle. So I think I'm a typical kind of middle child, if you can say. So I'm a big people pleaser. Used to be much worse than I am now, and hard time saying no. But I've gotten better, and part of that is self-leadership, being responsible for myself. So you have to say no sometimes, because otherwise you're not being responsible for yourself.
Yeah, I like to be responsible for myself.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, what do you do? Or what is challenging, actually, to be responsible for yourself, not to go into this victimism that it's, this manager, this work, European Commission, because I'm a civil servant in the European Commission for 16 years or more. It's a big organization and it's easy to hide behind organizations, world, family, kids, or anything. So how do you cope with responsibility?
Yes, it resonates also what you're talking about victim and actually the other side of the victim, the perpetrator. You know, these two polarities go together for me. So I am both, and I see the victim. You know, I see the victim. I also see the other polarity. So being a victim, it's like getting all the responsibility to others. You know, you did this to me, you did that, you did that, and it's actually no responsibility. It's really easy. It feels really easy. But if I look, if we look into it, if I look also as a person into it, it gives so much power away. So it gives me powerless. And it feels like not. It feels okay at the moment, but it is not. So what I try to do every time when I'm there is to look, where does it come from? How does it relate? And I strongly believe that the first years of my life, at the seven years, are going to be copied a little bit different, but goes back to those 7 years. So if I can relive those moments, these moments go away, and I can step out of almost the victim to be that victim. So that's how it works a little bit, but it's also being catched almost, because it's a shadow. I feel it's a shadow, like Carl Jung is talking about. It's the shadow that we have, that we all have some shadows. And it's to be caught by somebody else. Is like, oh, you're doing this. Okay. Because it's a way of protection, to be vulnerable or to be seen in a way.
But also when you said this, a thought came to my mind is because you're talking about giving away your power. So the reverse would be that you kind of empower yourself by being responsible for yourself. But the word responsibility is not so appealing in a way. It's sometimes easier to blame others. So another thing that I often say to myself and with people that I work with is that I would rather have a little bit more responsibility or a little bit more discipline, even though the word discipline is not that appealing either. I would rather have more discipline than regrets. So, I mean, you probably read and heard about, interviews done with people that are kind of approaching the end of their life, and usually they have more regrets over the things that they didn't do than the things that they did do. So I would like to try to live my life that I won't have that many regrets the older I get. And if I don't want to have regrets, because regrets can be painful, so that's why I would rather be responsible for myself. And even though it may cost me a little discipline from time to time, and the discipline may be in discipline myself to do something that is good for me. So I say discipline over regrets, at least for me.
Yeah, it's nice. The part of discipline, it takes you to responsibility, actually. But does it resonate with you? What makes you more responsible?
I use a lot of embodied practices, so breathwork, lots of breathwork. I'm also a yoga teacher, and studying a lot of different subjects from psychology, how to actually work on my wounds, how to integrate my feelings or emotions that probably stayed somewhere in the limbo, so I can also take responsibility for some parts of me that is not always easy to see. Some I can even feel like, they got somehow crippled on the way because they were pushed away. So working with all parts of me, working with the system of the inner family system a lot. And then I can understand better and kind of pick up the responsibility. And the responsibility that we talk about is different than sometimes I call it matrix responsibility, because actually one of my responsibility is the thing that I pick up actual responsibility that is not mine at all. And it's like, wow, again picking up like a bag on my path, and it's just screaming, don't pick me up. And I just pick it up, and now it's much better, because now I'm like, okay, I reflect some hours. Before it was years or days, and now it's usually like hours or a day too. And I'm like, why did I say that I do this? It's actually not my responsibility to do this. It's the other ones. But so it goes a bit into this over caring. So it can be, it's a beautiful quality, quality, and it can also go into shadow, because then very easily, when it's not met with my expectations, I can easily go into a victim. Okay, I do all this, and okay, it's not okay, but actually because I didn't take care of myself, my first responsibility.
And if I can share just a short, very recent story, because recently I had promised a friend to help them out with certain things, and gave that promise without really thinking about what it meant for me. Then I realized that this was not good for me, and it was not in alignment with the other plans that I had and what I wanted to be doing. So I called this friend and I said, well, I cannot do this. And I just explained, and the other person kind of, in a way, I felt started kind of guilt tripping me or wanting me to feel guilty about it. But I was able to, probably because of some of the kind of work that I've been doing on myself, I was able to say, I'm sorry, but this is just how it is. I have to back out of this promise that I gave you. And this I would not have been able to do some years ago. But again, this for me is about self-leadership. So both being able to say no when you're asked to do something, or if you accidentally say yes or say yes without thinking too much about it, to be able to go back. And this could be both in your private life and also at work, because sometimes you say yes to something at work, maybe to your boss or something, and then you just realize you don't have the time or the capacity or the energy to do this, and then have the self-confidence or courage to go back and say, well, this kind of went over my boundaries.
Yeah, it's a beautiful example, and I would like to go further into the last part that you said. as an employee to go to your boss and or manager or leader and say, I can't do this at this moment. What does it need from the leader that somebody can go into this conversation? I feel there's need of to be vulnerable as a leader, to be stepped into, say, oh, I said yes, but actually I can't, and I'm really, really sorry. But it's actually what I feel in these situations is that we empower people to say no, and it can be a lot for a leader to say, I want to receive no, almost. Yeah. How do you cope with that?
Yeah. I mean, it's a challenge. I'm not gonna lie about that. But both for myself in my position, but also for other leaders that I work with. And I think also reflecting on some of the things that Katerina shared before, because where we are kind of in the world now, and the shift that we are going through, and this wave that we're on, because so many managers are not used to thinking, because we tend to talk about people like, oh, he or she is that, or they are this generation, that's why they're like this, or they're in this age bracket, that's why they're like this, but not looking into individual differences. Some people have that decide to have kids, they have them in their 20s, others do it in their 40s. So they may be in the same stage in life, even though they're very different age. So many managers, I think, need this training in how to work with their team, not as a team, but as individuals, and know how to approach people with different needs and at different stages in their life. And we can even talk about, because there are a growing number of households in the world where there's only just one person living in that household. So we see increase in loneliness in the world. We see increased need for belonging at work. Yet at the same time, we all want to be treated as unique individuals and our needs met, no matter what our needs may be. So it's a bit contradictory that we want to belong to a group, but still we want to be individuals. And for managers to kind of come on top of that and trying to make everything work out. So I think because of this shift that I see in the world, that where we are, many managers are just struggling. And I've even seen recent research and reports that if we use the word burnout, I think managers, or especially line managers, are at the greatest risk there, because their teams, the individuals in their teams, the expectations and demands are changing. They themselves may be also going through this shift and have different ideas how they want to live and work. And it's often hard for managers that have stepped into a management role, maybe realizing that it's not giving them the happiness that they thought it would give them. It's hard to say, well, no, I've come to realize that this is not for me. I want to kind of step back. And that is not always easy. So we are going through so much shift, change, different expectations, different needs. And so I think we are all learning, and we just have to be open to that discussion. And I feel sorry for many managers that have been managers for years and decades, have been recognized and rewarded for being a manager of the old world, if we can say, but don't know how to be a manager in the new world. They just don't comprehend what's going on, and they don't understand this. And instead of thinking about what can I learn from, and it's not only young people that are going through this change. It's also, I mean, I'm in my 50s and I'm rethinking a lot of things in my life. So it's people of all ages, and managers just need support and help and training and how to deal with this. So it is a bit of a struggle, I think, as of now. But my hope is that when we kind of, if we can say, get through this, we will have created something better. And that is just also, we can, maybe this is too dramatic what I'm going to say now, but we can even view this as a birth. So we are going through something that is hard at the moment, but something good will come out of it.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to get into the depth It's also death,
Be reborn
Yeah,
and
yeah.
rise from the ashes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we have to be willing to let go of some of the old things, even though they gave us success in the old days. They may not do it going forward.
Yeah.
And at the same time as we let go of something, because one word that is one of my favorite words these days is that we also need to unlearn. Because we keep saying that we always have to learn more because there's all this technology changing and all that. So we're always pushing people to be like a lifelong learner and learn more and be adaptable. But also we need to unlearn and let go of things. We cannot only add to what we are doing and what we know. We also have to let some things go and unlearn old behaviors, old beliefs, and just So we are going through a big shift.
Yeah, I like the unlearn. We also use a lot of unlearn. It's actually empty. What I also feel, it's emptying this vessel of a body to be empty and open to receive also new things.
Mm-hmm.
How does it resonate?
For me, the letting go is still challenging. It's getting better, but especially letting go of things or systems or patterns that were keeping me safe. They were bringing me happiness, or life that was giving me happiness. To let it go feels challenging, and it brings me back to my values. That I also revisit my values, but there are those three. Which is the freedom, loyalty, integrity, commitment also. And only recently I started to understand the loyalty a bit differently. Before, sometimes loyalty was really holding me back, because this loyalty and commitment and freedom, it got into, sometimes in life, into almost collapsing and difficult situations. But now I understand that the loyalty is to myself. So even though it's with lots of pain, so I also learned to embrace pain. I see in the past I was avoiding pain and rather choose happiness and yes, we can attitude. And of course, it's great. I'm grateful for my enthusiasm and positive energy. And today I can embrace pain. I can embrace what's alive. I can be with it. I don't have to escape it. I'm not fixing it. I'm so happy that I can also provide a personal environment, to my kids, a family environment where there is no fixing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll be good, yes, we have tools, we can breathe, but let's feel it. And so feeling actually helped me a lot to unlearn, because I had to unlearn fixing, for instance. Before that, really fixing was such a tool. I dare to say I was a great fixer. I was paid very well for being a great fixer. I can fix anything. Yes, we can. Or I just repair it and all the juggling. And it's like, okay. So sometimes I look back, I'm like, wow, I think that my value almost I would dare to say in the European Commission, it is almost like I can juggle a lot. I'm resilient to stress. I am always, yes, we can. I say yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
I please. And if I stretch myself, okay, I stretch further and I pull my leg further. And then I am now in my 40s and having amazing friends that are also like, yes, we can. Now in the 40s, we are like, you know what? We can't. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I start to say no. And I have so many friends on burnout. Friends that or people, human people, beings that we could cope with many things, but the system is over stressed, and it comes time that the body or the circumstances or burnouts just says no.
Mm-hmm.
And how to unlearn these patterns and to come back, to be reborn from ashes, and actually be reborn in a better version of myself, in the one that is aligned, in the one that brings joy from inside, the one that is not just like the smile, but is the one like, wow, the pure joy, that actually it's such a pleasure to meet people that feel this pure joy.
Yeah. But listening to you now, and especially when you were talking about letting go, because one of the things that I learned from some of the content that I read around working the steps, if I keep referring to them, was that some behavior, because you mentioned Katerina having been this great fixer, that may work very well in certain circumstances, but then you go into different circumstances, and then the fixer in you may come across as a control freak or being like a micromanager or something. So you have to think about, in my opinion, some behavior work better if you're in an unhealthy environment. Then you need those behaviors or those beliefs. But when you move into a healthier environment, those same behavior that may have saved you before will start to harm you when you're in a different environment. So it's for me, when I kind of read about this, it was easier for me, at least, to let go of some of my old patterns and old behaviors.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I just we have just a few minutes left.
Yeah.
It's going to very, very quickly. And you were also dropping something about success. What is success? What is success? And I'm just curious, what are do you have any limiting beliefs about success?
Oh yeah. Where do you want me to start? First off, I mean, success is a lot of things, and it's different from one person to another. Few things that I view as a success, that is, if I'm able to live according to my personal values, because then I'm in sync with myself. Also, when I think about success is if it's balanced success, for example, because I have memories years ago where I was in a very kind of fancy position in a big company, and everything looked outside that everything was going great for me. But my relationships were not that great. My health was not that great. I didn't have time for friends or family because I was always thinking about work. So it may have looked successful, but inside I was not. So for me, success has to be that I'm able to keep all areas of my life in sync. Because, it's not success if you're sacrificing your health or your relationship for work, for example. Limiting beliefs for me is a lot of things. There's a book that I read some years ago called The Big Leap. So even though it's not all about making big leaps, but in this book, the author, Gay Hendricks, talks about some commonalities for limiting beliefs of people. That you're afraid of taking too much space. And I kind of relate this to being raised in a big family. You're afraid of taking too much space. You're afraid of maybe outshining others. You're afraid of leaving people behind. You're afraid of people saying, well, what does she think she is? Or, all these kind of, and in this book, he talks about different kind of reasons or commonalities between people with limiting beliefs. And I remember when I read the book, I ticked all the boxes kind of. So I think I'm just so used to trying to fit in and not to take too much space or just be quiet, this well-behaved kid that I was. So I'm trying to be more kind of the not so well-behaved kid nowadays. So speak more openly and be kind of who I want to be. And that can be one description of success. Yeah. Be who I really am, no matter what other people may think of it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Beautiful.
How does it work for you? Success?
Success? I have been journeying with success for many years. It was one of my first trainings or retreats. It was on abundance and success, and it was in 2016. And first, I really wanted to meet that facilitator, but I thought, okay, the whole weekend, abundance and success, I felt so abundant and successful at that moment that I was like, oh, okay, I wish that she was giving like other themes, but I still went there. And since then, it stayed with me because it brought many questions. And today I feel success very differently. Of course, it has been changing. And now I am, for instance, now for me, success is once a year, I open space for women. So I run or facilitate women retreat. And for me, today, this is success, that there are women that take 1 week of their holidays with their kids, with their husbands, with their partners, with themselves. They take 1 week of holidays. They travel to another country. They spend money on being 1 week together. To come to, my themes are presence, pleasure, and peace. I'm deeply touched by every woman that comes, that actually says yes. I'm sometimes in tears. And what we can co-create in that week is totally beyond. It's such magic of sisterhood that even now talking about it, I have goosebumps. It's just wow. It's real. It just feels much more than when I was in the EU or I'm in the European Commission. Then I feel like people are there. I can talk. I can be on the stage. I have ministers. I have people, but actually they never came because of me. It's not really, it's like almost selling something that's not mine. Or it was also a theme for me. So for me, success today is I'm authentic. I serve my love and I meet people. Connections. Maybe it's success is connections.
Yeah.
Moment.
Yeah, beautiful.
And you?
Success. Success was before actually status more. When I was growing up, status and money. These. These hard currencies almost of society, and I also see it with the marketing agency that I had. It was different. We changed people's lives by the way we talked to them, by the way we were interacting with them, and I see it now again in the family. I love when we do with the kids, all together breathwork, and we go into some kind of state of egoless, that the ego is gone and we are all, together. That is success for me now. It's success is when when we are at the Breathwork Club in a big company and people get off their veils of it and they say, we are there, and that's the impact that we really desire. And I believe that we have this talk together, and and that we can also see how this to be successful differently. So success is more about about being for me. Can I just be? I'm sometimes far away, and then I can go also back to have the tools to do it. And it's really nice. It's a different kind of success than just money, and it's a different power.
Yeah. And because you use the word being, and Katerina used the word connection, I think it's creating some kind of energy at a certain frequency. And through that, we can connect even more and make this wave that I think we're going through even bigger.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. It's
Herdis Pala, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
It was a pleasure, and I think we can talk another. Because I feel we just touched the subject. Maybe there will be another time. For now, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We will in the comments we will tag you so people can find you. Also, as a public speaker, to speak wherever that comes up, it's beautiful, and to follow you. You make beautiful content on LinkedIn, I see.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. Thank you, Katerina.
Yes, sir.
And thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye. Bye.